right, fifth period, this is your production schedule that we've had so far. Now, we have 6 columns already figured out, so now we need to add the last 4 columns. The one that we did not get to last week was marginal cost. That was the last cost that we did not get to, simply because it takes a little bit longer to do marginal cost, and I wanted to make sure we had enough time. So, first column I want you to fill in is marginal cost. By the way, make sure that you have pulled up on your iPad a calculator app so that way you can follow along with the calculations. So how do we find marginal cost? Well, marginal cost is going to be one of the equations on the bottom that you're going to add to. So marginal cost at 1 worker is equal to the total cost at 1 worker minus the total cost at 0 workers, all divided by marginal product at 1 worker. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that comment there, but I'm also gonna write it out. And the reason I leave the comment there is because when I write it out like this, it actually disappears over time. So marginal cost at 1 worker is equal to the total cost at 1 worker minus the total cost at 0 workers. There we go. Divided by marginal product at 1 worker. Okay, so this makes sense if you think about it, because remember how we found marginal product, this column over here, okay? We found marginal product by, for example, to find 6 here, we took 15 minus 9. 15 minus 9 gave us 6, right? So it makes sense if we're finding the marginal cost if we do, for example, 14 minus 12. That's the beginning part of this equation. So total cost 1 minus total cost 0. That'll give us 2. The problem is that's telling us how much it costs us to produce 4 more airplanes. Because our first worker didn't produce 1 more airplane, they produced 4 more airplanes. And remember, marginal cost is looking at how much extra it costs to produce 1 more airplane. So in order to figure that out, we have to actually take that 2, so 14 minus 12, and we have to divide it by 4. So 2 divided by 4. Okay, that is what it's going to tell us to take to be able to cost us to make 1 more airplane. Okay, so we're going to go through this together. So my red here is going to erase, by the way. So just to be fair warned. All right, so marginal cost at 0 workers. Okay, just like marginal product at 0 workers, we can't do this. This is just a line, so just fill in a line. We can't do it because we didn't add anything, we didn't change anything, so we can't do that. Now, at 1 worker, we're going to take 14 minus 12, which is 2, and we're going to divide by marginal product right here, this column. Don't get off and do total product. We're talking about marginal product. We're going to divide by 4, so the line we're on. So 2 divided by 4, if you need a calculator, you can do that, is going to be 50 cents. At 2 workers, now we're going to be subtracting the line we're on, which is 16, minus the line above, which is 14. So 16 minus 14 is 2. And we're dividing by the marginal product at this line, which is 5. So 2 divided by 5, you put it in your calculator, is 40 cents. Remember, this is money, so we are going to the nearest penny. We can't leave it as a fraction. At 3 workers, we're subtracting 18 minus 16, again 2, and dividing by marginal product of this line, which is 6. So 2 divided by 6 will give us 33 cents. At 4 workers, we're going to subtract 20 minus 18, which is 2, divided by 7. So 2 divided by 7 is 29 cents. At 5 workers, we're subtracting 22 minus 20, which is 2, divided by marginal product of this line is 9. So that's going to be 22 cents. At 6 workers, we're going to subtract 24 minus 22, which is 2, divided by 8. So 2 divided by 8 will give you 25 cents. For 7 workers, we're going to subtract 26 minus 24 divided by 7. So 26 minus 24 is 2, divided by 7 will give you 29 cents again. At 8 workers, we're subtracting 28 minus 26 divided by 7 again, so another 29 cents. At 9 workers, we're subtracting 30 minus 28, which is 2, divided by 6, which is 33 cents. Oops, it's blue. Sorry. Let me change the color here. At 10 workers, we're going to subtract 32 minus 30 divided by 5. So 32 minus 30 divided by 5 will give you 40 cents. For 11 workers, we're subtracting 34 minus 32, which is 2, divided by 5, which is another 40 cents. For 12 workers, we're subtracting 36 minus 34, which is 2, divided by 4, which is another 50 cents. And then the last one you can't do. The reason you can't do the last one is because we would have to divide by a negative marginal product. If you divide by a negative marginal product, you're going to get a negative number. So think about that. That'd be a negative cost. I don't even know what that would mean. Is that them that they pay you? I don't even know. So you can't even do that. So anytime you come across a negative marginal product, you cannot do marginal cost. Okay? All right. So next column. Next column is going to be related to your notes today. So this is going to be total revenue. So if you remember, total revenue from your notes is talking about how much money we make from selling our product. Okay, so how much money we make from selling our product. So imagine, if you will, we were actually going to sell our paper airplanes. Okay, how much do you think we should sell our airplanes for? Any thoughts? Well, in order to figure out total revenue, which is TR, total revenue is equal to the price times total product. Okay, and then underneath it, I want you to put an asterisk and say, Mrs. Stout will always give the price. Okay, I will always give you the price. And in this case, based off from your guys' costs and based off from how many you actually made, I'm actually saying for your class only, your price is going to be 50 cents. We're going to charge 50 cents for our airplanes. Okay? So when we figure out total revenue, we are actually taking that 50 cents times the total product, how many airplanes we actually made. So we're taking it times this column right here. Okay? So at 0 workers, we didn't make any airplanes, obviously, so total revenue is obviously 0. We have nothing to make, so we have nothing to sell. At 1 worker, we made 4 airplanes, and so we're going to take 4 times 50 cents, which is our price. Remember, I gave you the price. I will always give you the price. So 4 times 50 cents will give you $2 in revenue. At 2 workers, we're going to take 9 times 50 cents to get $4.50. At 3 workers, we're going to take 15 times 50 cents to get $7.50. At 4 workers, we're going to take 22 times 50 cents to get $11. At 3 workers, we're going to take 31 times 50 cents to get $15.50. At 6 workers, we're going to take 39 times 50 cents to get $19.50. At 7 workers, we're going to take 46 times 50 cents to get $23. At 8 workers, we're going to take 53 times 50 cents to get $26.50. For 9 workers, we're going to take 59 times 50 cents to get $29.50. At 10 workers, we're taking 64 times 50 cents to get $32. At 11 workers, we're going to take 69 times 50 cents to get $34.50. For 12 workers, we're going to take 73 times 50 cents to get $36.50. And for 13 workers, we're going to take 68 times 50 cents to get $34. Okay, everybody got that? All right. Next column, marginal revenue. Probably could have guessed that from our notes. So remember, marginal revenue is how much extra I get from selling one more item. So think about this. How much extra money am I going to get from selling one more airplane? So if you already, if you remember from the notes, you already watched the notes, I already told you, think about it, it's the price, okay? I get 50 more cents from selling one more airplane. So all you have to do is say marginal revenue is equal to the price, okay? That's the equation you can put on the bottom. Now, if that's the case, okay, keep in mind with all of our marginal columns, you can't do marginal, any marginal column for 0 workers because we didn't add anything, we didn't change anything. And you also can't do marginal revenue for the last worker or any worker where you have a negative marginal product, because then that would be a negative marginal revenue and that doesn't make any sense. So other than that, okay, all of these are going to be 50 cents. So you can fill in 50 cents. And I'm actually going to copy and paste, so keep it simple, right? Fill in 50 cents all the way down. Okay, so that's marginal revenue. Easy peasy. Last column. Last column is profit or loss. So profit or loss is going to be determining whether or not we are making money or losing money. So if you think about it, how do you suppose I'm going to find profit or loss? So P or L. Well, we have to look at how much we totally made by selling them. And we have to look at how much it totally costs me to produce them. So I'm going to take total revenue minus total cost. So total revenue minus total cost will tell me if I'm making money or if I'm losing money. So I'm looking at this entire column here, and I'm looking at this entire column here. So keep that in mind. So at 0 workers, I'm taking 0 minus 12 to give us obviously a loss of $12. At 1 worker, I'm taking 2 minus 14 to get a loss of, again, negative 12. At 2 workers, I'm subtracting 450 minus 16 to get a loss of 1150. At 3 workers, I'm subtracting 750 minus 18 to get a loss of 1050. At 4 workers, I'm subtracting 11 minus 20 to get a loss of $9. At 5 workers, I'm subtracting $15.50 minus $22 to get a loss of $3.50. Oops, that's red for some reason. This one's going to be red too. I'll make that black. Okay, at $6, we're going to take $19.50 minus $24 to get a loss of $4.50. At 7 workers, we're subtracting 23 minus 26 to get a loss of $3. At 8 workers, we're subtracting $26.50 minus 28 to get a loss of $1.50. At 9 workers, we're going to subtract $29.50 minus 30 to get a loss of whopping 50 cents. At 10 workers, we're going to subtract $32 minus $32 till we have 0 profit or loss. We didn't lose any money, but we didn't make any. 11 workers, we're going to subtract $34.50 minus $34 to get a profit of 50 cents. Woohoo! And for 12 workers, we're going to subtract $36.50 minus 36 to get a profit of 50 cents. And last, for 13 workers, we're going to subtract 34 minus 38 to get a loss of $4. Okay, so now that we have completed the entire thing, we can actually determine 2 points. We can determine the break-even point and the profit maximizing point. So if you remember back to your notes, okay, look back in your notes. Break-even point. What is the break-even point? What does that mean? So hopefully you found that the break-even point is going to be where the total revenue equals the total cost. So, in our profit or loss column, what will we find? So our profit or loss will be exactly 0. And this is shocking, guys. I cannot tell you how very few times this actually happens, where you actually have a point where it's exactly 0. At 10 workers, this is our break-even point. Okay, break-even is going to be at 10 workers because we have our total revenue is equaling our total cost. Hardly ever happens exactly like that. Most of the time, you have a point that it's going to be in between 2 points. So it'd be more likely from going from, like, for example, 9 to 11 workers, okay? And it would go from a negative number to a positive number all of a sudden. So then how do you find the break-even point? Well, the break-even point in those cases is going to be in between those 2 workers. And inevitably, you have somebody who's like, okay, how can you have like 9.5 workers? No, I'm not talking about midgets. I'm talking about part-time people, right? You can have 9.5 workers, the half being somebody who's part-time, okay? So the break-even point is going to be where it's exactly 0, like you guys actually have, or in between where it goes from a loss to a profit. All right, ultimate question here. How many workers should we actually hire according to this? Where's your profit maximizing point? All right, so probably you're arguing between 11 workers and 12 workers, right? Well, here's how many people should actually be hired. Aha, 12 workers. If you said 12 workers, you were correct. Okay, profit maximizing point is going to be where, remember, the profit is the highest, which we do have here. Okay, we do have that, but the marginal cost and the marginal revenue also have to be the same. Okay, so the profit maximizing point is telling us that we should actually hire 12 workers because our profit is the highest and our marginal cost equals our marginal revenue. Inevitably, I have somebody that asks, okay, well, why 12? Why not 11? Well, technically speaking, it's not costing you anything extra because it didn't cost you anything in profit, and that person is already there for the long run, right? So when you're going expanding and all of that fun stuff. So just know the profit maximizing point is going to be where the profit is the highest, but marginal cost has to equal marginal revenue. All right, now the sub is going to pass out to you practice of this whole thing. So you are actually going to get a paper that looks like this. Okay, notice that at the top I give you the price. The price is $30. Okay, lots and lots of blanks in here. Yes, I know, don't let it freak you out. You can do this. Okay, you have all the tools to be able to do this. Remember when you get here to fixed costs, remember what we talked about before your warm-up. Okay, the only equation that includes fixed cost is total cost, okay? Now you're like, okay, wait a minute, I don't have a total cost and variable cost at the same level. Okay, so figure that out first. Skip fixed costs. Go to variable costs. So if 270 is how much we're paying for 3 workers, how much are we paying for 1 worker? Okay, figure out variable costs. At the bottom, there's 2 questions. Make sure you label the 3 stages of production, and then tell me where the break-even point and the profit maximizing point are. You can do that over on the right over here. Okay? Work together on this. Help each other out in your groups. On Wednesday, before we do our Kahoot in class, we will go over the answers to this. This will be part of your notebook check, so please make sure you at least give it a good shot. All right. Again, email me if you have any questions.